In a bill that is the opposite of what you see in coastal areas, the state of Iowa is trying to make it easier and faster for landlords to evict tenants. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. Alright, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the state right next to the one where I live in, and that's the state of Iowa. And Iowa, they are an interesting place, okay, because they have a lot of pro-landlord, very, anti-tenant laws in place. And this is one of them right here. And this is one of the things that I like seeing, okay? I like seeing stuff that says, hey, we respect your property rights. We know that you're not getting paid, and we're going to make it as little a burden as possible when you have a tenant up in your property who's not paying rent to get that tenant up out of there, okay? And that's what all states need to be doing. Instead of that, though, they're doing the opposite. They're saying, hey, we're going to make it harder for the landlord to evict. We're going to make it harder for the landlord to get the money that they are owed and get their property back to them. And you know what? That's driving a lot of landlords out of business. There's a reason why I say don't invest in places where they have all these ridiculous rent control, strong eviction protections, etc., and instead focus on places where you get the best treatment as a landlord. Okay, now I know you're not going to get the same sort of appreciation, but I'm talking about peace of mind here. Peace of mind is worth a lot more than money sometimes, okay? And there still is good appreciation to be made in the Midwest, in the South, in places where there's more landlord friendly, where the laws are more landlord friendly, okay? And so, you make your own decisions about what you're going to do, but you know what? My recommendation, at least if you're getting started as a small mom and pop landlord, look at the Midwest and the South, okay? That doesn't mean that you're not going to have problems there, but I believe that you have a better chance, better odds of success. So before I get into this article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. So here's a question for you. Where would you consider to be one of the better places throughout the country to invest? I always talk about, hey, I invest in the state of Missouri. Missouri has very landlord-friendly laws. I also invest here in Nebraska, a little bit less landlord-friendly, but still overall things are in our favor. I used to invest in Arizona. Things are changing out in Arizona a lot, and a lot of, we'll just say, people from California are moving there, and they're bringing their California ideals with them. So things are changing out there. It's still a good place to invest, but how long? For how long? That's the question, okay? I just heard about I believe it's the Arizona Attorney General who is suing landlords out there in Arizona for using software to determine what the rents are going to be. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, well, real estate is a huge industry in Arizona, and you're trying to tell landlords what they can and what they can't charge for rent? Give me a break, okay? That's just wrong. But anyway, not talking about Arizona today. Let's get into this article about Iowa. This article is coming from thegazette.com, and it says, Iowa bill would make it easier for landlords to evict tenants. Critics say it would create more housing instability and weaken tenant protections. Well, you know what? I don't mind the part about weakening the tenant protections, but creating more housing instability, I don't agree with that at all, okay? You know what creates more housing instability? When someone doesn't pay their rent, okay? That's like saying, well, people they don't have transportation to work just because they didn't pay their car payment and then their car got repossessed. Like, yeah, you don't have transportation to work because your car got repossessed. If you had paid your bills, you would have had plenty of transportation. So whose fault is that? Is that the landlord's fault? No. So guess what? Pay your bills. You don't have anything to worry about. Anyway, let's get into it. Iowa Senate Republicans advanced a bill Wednesday with the intent to amend it later that would make it easier for landlords to evict tenants with a shorter timeline. Representatives with the Home Builders Association of Iowa, Greater Iowa Apartment Association, and Iowa Manufactured Housing Association said the bill aims to standardize and clarify landlord-tenant laws, particularly about notice requirements and unlawful lease provisions, and provide flexibility for landlords and tenants to work out payment plans. And you know what? That's what we need. We just need flexibility. We need flexibility to, figure out ways to get the tenants to pay. And what we don't need is to drag out the process while we continually lose money for long periods of time. Critics said Senate Study Bill 3102 would create more housing instability and weaken tenant protections at a time of rising rents and eviction filings. Senator Dan Dawson, a Republican from Council Bluffs is right next to Omaha, highlighted the need to address an ambiguous area of state law that's created perceived roadblocks or impediments into the service Iowa landlords provide. Operating off of old case law with Iowa magistrates left to interpret it isn't the best way to go about providing clarity in the law, he said. Lisa Davis Cook from the Iowa Association for Justice expressed concerns about the bill, including the change in notice provision and the potential for landlords to enforce illegal provisions in leases. The organization, which represents Iowa's trial lawyers, is registered opposed to the bill, along with Common Good Iowa. Whoa, what a surprise. A bunch of lawyers who, get paid to fight eviction cases are opposed to this sort of law. What a surprise, okay? But anyway, let me continue. Under current law, landlords must serve a 3-day notice for non-payment of rent and their intent to terminate the rental agreement in 3 days if the rent is not paid. If the tenant does not pay the rent, the landlord may file an eviction case. Under current law, any period ending on a weekend or holiday automatically is extended to the next full business day. The bill would change that to allow the last day to fall on a Saturday, Sunday, or federal holiday. So yeah, basically the 3-day notice, the way it worked before was, let's say that it's a Friday, you give your tenant, what would be a better example? It's a Wednesday, right? And you give your tenant a 3-day notice. So Thursday would be day 1, Friday would be day 2, and then Saturday would be day 3, right? But it's a 3-day holiday weekend. It's a Labor Day weekend, right? So then it would be Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So when you were, before the 3-day notice ended on Saturday, that's the way it should be, right? But instead, the tenant got all this additional time because there was a federal holiday and there was a Sunday and it was the middle of the weekend, etc. So, basically they're just amending the law. The most that this is really going to do is give the tenant a couple less days. It's not really going to change much of anything, but it will benefit the landlord and it will get this process rolling a lot quicker, okay? And you know what? These people, they like to complain about everything, but this seems like a common sense change to the law. So I'm going to put a link to this article in the description down below. Let me know what you think, and let me know where you believe is to be one of the more landlord friendly places to own real estate and be a landlord.